Thank you, Mr. Cannett. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our first school meeting, our first board meeting of the school year. And we have some special students here this evening, and I'm going to ask Ms. Panassi to get us started. We have some student recognition. Ms. Panassi, please take off. You have it.
Is it working now?
Now.
There we go. Thank you. All right. Good evening, everybody. We have, as you will see tonight, an embarrassment of riches in this district when it comes to musical talent. And everything you're about to hear me say is a credit to these students and also to our amazing music faculty, K-12 here at Mount Sinai. I'm so proud of all of them. All right. I'd like to call up Mackenzie. We're going to start with our Long Island Scholar Artist Award. The Long Island Arts Alliance developed a Scholar Artist Awards program. The Scholar Artists are chosen from 5 disciplines: visual arts, music, theater, dance, and media arts. Mackenzie was chosen for theater and was one of only 20 students chosen from a pool nominated by Long Island's public, independent, and parochial schools. These outstanding students are represented to the public in monthly profiles that will appear in Newsday and on newsday.com. And they are eligible for early scholarship consideration by Long Island Artist Alliance Higher Education Partners. So congratulations to Mackenzie. Now, I'm going to ask Mackenzie to stay up here, and I would like to call up Matthew Manzo and, and Carrie Wang and Erica Lowe. Do you want to do all of them, I guess? All right. These 4 students received all-state honors this year. Mackenzie Kling and Carrie Wang were named alternates to the chorus and orchestra, respectively, and Matthew Manzo was invited to participate in the all-state mixed chorus, and Erica Lowe invited to participate in the all-state orchestra. These students are among an elite group of musicians. Receiving a 100 on your NYSSMA audition last spring did not guarantee you a spot in one of these ensembles. You must also receive an outstanding recommendation by your auditioner. So congratulations to these 4 students for their all-state. I'm just keeping people up here. Orlando, can you please join us? You can come on over and stand next to Mackenzie and Matthew. Orlando DiDesidero and Mackenzie Kling and Matthew Manzo were also named to the All-County Vocal Jazz Ensemble. This honor was given also based on their NYSSMA auditions last spring, and I'm so excited for them. I cannot remember the last time that Mount Sinai was represented in the all-county ensembles, and so I'm very much looking forward to their participation and everything that they have in store in November when they participate. Congratulations to the 3 of you. And now, for the grand finale, I would like to invite Jordana and Louis and Sarah and Sari, and who else do we have here? Hava, all come on up. I'm running out of room. So, let me get my notes. This year, Mount Sinai had 15 students invited to participate in the NISCAME All-County Ensembles. We have, oh, Tavish, come on up here. We have Tavish Farrell, Erica Lowe, and Carrie Wang, who will be in our all-county orchestra. And we have Jordana Di Palermo, Orlando Di Desidero, Mackenzie Kling, Kira Klug, Hava Kolasar, Matthew Manzo, Sarah Michaelius, Louis Paz, Sari Schneider, Ava Schmidt, Juliana Vivalli, and Emma Zeidman, who will be participating in the mixed chorus and treble choirs. All of these students performed at the highest level NYSSMA audition and all received a rating of A or A+. Just wanted to take a moment to say to all of you, thank you for sharing your talents with Mount Sinai and with your community. We are so proud of you and have a wonderful time at Nisquam All County in November. Congratulations. Why don't you come on over to the front and we'll take a picture. Come on. We'll go right here and we'll take a picture. And get you. Oh, yeah. Okay, yes. What? Yes, Mackenzie's in the black. I'll go with you, yeah.
Did you give yours out already? Hold on.
Thank you very much. And I would be remiss if I did not also mention that Mrs. Tulin is here on her birthday. It's her birthday this evening, but she came to support her students. All right, you guys can come back to your seats. Thank you.
That would have been nice. Yeah, that should have happened. Thank you so much. And I know our students, you have a lot of homework, so we don't blame you if you have to go home and study for all the work you have to do. I know you have to practice, sing, get prepared for those concerts. Now we have a special presentation this evening. I'd like to call up our principal of the middle school, Mr. Alcesser, our assistant principal from the elementary school, Ms. Teffenhart, and our assistant principal from the high school. Thank you. Oh, we're switching over? Ms. Romeo, thank you. I didn't even know he did that. He did that behind my back, putting the presentation.
Well, the students saw this next topic and decided to hit the door. So, good evening, Mr. Stout, members of the board, Dr. Riccioni, Chris Alcesser, proud and new principal of the middle school. It's a pleasure to be here. About 18 days in now, we're having a great start. So, thanks so much for the opportunity tonight. Here tonight with my colleagues, Ms. Romeo, high school assistant principal, and Ms. Teppenhart, elementary AP. And we want to thank the board and Dr. Riccioni for allowing us to be here to share some of the work that we've been doing to really update and align the district's practices in relation to the Dignity for All Students Act, better known the most as DASA. Who has the clicker? Oh, thank you. Okay. Or Mr. Kinnett, if you could hit that next slide. Perfect. Then back one? Okay. So, really, after I landed here in Mt.Sinai, the conversation kind of started right away on enhancing what our practices were with DASA. And it was really the desire of the buildings, looking back on the school year, and just coming together for where we kind of need to be with this in 2024 to really improve past practice and ensure that we were executing consistency and proper practices when investigating potential DASA situations within our community of all 3 buildings. So tonight we've kind of designed this presentation to cover the following topics: revisiting, defining what the New York State DASA legislation includes, explaining the obligations of the district and schools in relation to New York State education law, outlining the goals that we set out to accomplish in our team's work, and really just provide kind of a brief outline and explanation of the DASA procedures that we're using across the district during this school year, which is really like probably what we're most proud of at this moment, and where the next steps are in our work in the weeks ahead. So at this point, I'd like to introduce and hand this off to Ms. Romeo.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So our work began with taking a broader look at the legislature and what DASA is. So Dignity for All Students, as Mr. Elsesser said, is also known as the Dignity Act. In September of 2010, the New York State legislature enacted the Dignity for Students Act. It took effect July of 2012. There have been many revisions to it and amendments added through the years, but when you boil it down, the Dignity for All Students Act is intended to create a learning environment free of discrimination and harassment for all students. The DASA mandates, which we were taking a look at, mandates the reporting of all incidents of harassment, bullying, and discrimination based upon, but not limited to, a person's race, color, weight, nationality, ethnicity, religion, disability, sexual orientation, gender, or sex. This includes acts of harassment, bullying. New York State has amended many of these policies to include cyberbullying and/or discrimination of students by other students, as well as school personnel. Now, under the DASA legislation, there are obligations for both the district as well as individual schools. Our district has the requirement under the DASA Act to develop policies that are intended to create a school environment that's free of discrimination and harassment. The district has an obligation to develop guidelines for school training programs that discourage discrimination and harassment, raise awareness and sensitivity to potential discrimination and harassment, and enable employees to prevent and respond to incidents of discrimination and harassment. Under those guidelines, they also develop internal guidelines related to the development of non-discriminatory instructional and counseling methods. Now, individual schools within the district have different obligations. Those are more local. They are tasked with designating and training a staff member known as the Dignity Act Coordinator, and each building in our district has a Dignity Act Coordinator, and they are all the assistant principals of each of our buildings, who are trained to address incidents of harassment, bullying, and discrimination. Each school is mandated to provide training for their employees to increase awareness and sensitivity to the existence of and harmful effects of these acts of discrimination, and to develop a school strategy to prevent these incidents. Another responsibility is to ensure that the DASA complaint form is easily accessible to students, staff, as well as community members, and to report all material incidents. And we will talk a little bit more in our presentation about what material incidents actually means, those incidents of discrimination, harassment, and bullying annually to the New York State Education Department. I'm now going to hand it off to Ms. Teppenhart.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. So our goal initially was to come together with very simple goals. It was to create continuity in practice. The opportunity to have vertical alignment across all 3 buildings is so incredibly important because we want to ensure that we're taking the proposed policy and we're taking legal requirements, and we're looking at it at the elementary, middle school, and high school level. So the main goal was to create continuity in which we were aligned with the proposed policy. We wanted the team to be able to have a handbook that could be used by any staff member that might encounter it, and for them to have resources that were readily available. We also wanted to create and facilitate communication among buildings. It's so important to be part of a team and to be able to pick up the phone and call someone that's on a DAC team in another building and get some support in that regard.
So as I said earlier, one of the main goals in our work was to align our practices and make sure that what we're doing is consistent. So the rumors out there are true. I am a sports guy. I said we have to come up with a playbook. So we came up with the Mt.Sinai School District DASA DAC Team Handbook. And again, it is the playbook that we're using across the district now to ensure thoroughness and consistency when DASA investigations have to be conducted. And really, anytime that there's a suspicion of an incident, or if anyone makes a claim that there's an incident that may have taken place, we're required, as Ms. Romeo said, to investigate. So this is going to be the way we're going to do it. So the book's broken down to a couple of parts. It's really light reading, but I'll spare you the deep details and just kind of go over the big picture items. So this is a book that'll be an internal document that's distributed to members of our DAC team. And that first part of the book is a definition on what the key definitions are. Bullying, cyberbullying, discrimination, harassment, hazing. Understanding these definitions, the intent behind them will help the team determine when working together if a material incident has taken place. Then from that point, including the Universal Student Bullying and Harassment Claim Form that's available on the website across all 3 buildings. This is something that we wanted to include in the book so that our team knows what's being filled out, the different parts of it, and understanding that a lot of times people make, from past practice I've seen, people make complaints, but they don't always fill out the form completely. And, it's the responsibility of the DAC team to kind of go back in and kind of fill in the blanks that are missing. So that the form is part of the policy that's in the agenda tonight, and that is something that we're, including in our playbook here. The details and proper guidelines of the action steps is the next part of our book. This is really where it all kind of comes together. It educates the DAC team members and gives them a guide on the timelines that are required of the reporting of the incidents, the investigations, what has to follow in what order, how much time has to, is allowed to pass before something's put in writing, and when the investigation kind of, begins. Really the urging of working together and getting the DAC team to come together, look at that initial report that's been collected, and really sit down and determine what the initial steps are to put together an investigation. Who has to be interviewed? Who do we need to interview? What kinds of questions are we going to be asking? What order should we be asking these questions in? Making sure we're asking pretty much the same types of questions to all of the different parties involved. What documentation do we need to have collected for the file? What do we need to get from students or other witnesses that may have seen potential incidents take place? What formal documentation is required to kind of conclude an investigation? What kinds of phone calls need to be made? And then most importantly, bringing all those things together, putting them in a master report, and then sitting down as a team with the master DAC coordinator of the building and coming up to see if a material incident has taken place. It's important that the district has a universal reporting form that kind of brings all that information together. It's kind of the master document that collects the information and kind of makes it almost like the executive summary of the investigative file that we're required to keep on file in the district using the New York State retention laws, excuse me. And this document is crucial because once you determine that an incident takes place, and this is what Ms. Romeo kind of mentioned before about a material incident, if a material incident's taken place, okay, fine, there'll be some actions that are taken, potential consequences. We're supporting all the parties in that report. But then, the team has to come together, the DAC team, and we have to support all of those parties afterwards. People have to come back to school. They need to feel comfortable in their place. We have to have, procedures in place if there's any kind of retaliation that comes out against a decision that was rendered in an investigation. And that's what this kind of guideline protects. So it's really important that the members of the DAC team understand that, and that's really the purposes of this document and this part of the master summary report. And then really the last part is the written documentation to parents. What has to be sent out? We have sample letters that are now a part of the document. Any one of the DAC team members can take a letter, kind of tailor it to the contents of that investigation and try to notify people in a timely manner. With that being said, I'd like to welcome back Ms. Teppenhart.
So our next steps are really to come together as a team and establish our DAC teams. We're going to do a district-wide meeting where we have an opportunity to roll out the handbook or the playbook, as Mr. Alcester likes to refer to it, and just really take them through page by page so that they're understanding what the process is. And again, we're really pushing for continuity in practice. As part of that staff training, we want to make sure that they understand all of the processes that we're going through and the legal requirements. And then there's whenever you're collecting any type of metrics like this, it's an opportunity to really lend itself to looking at what other things we want to create in the district to support our students. If there's data that we're able to collect, that we're seeing patterns in data, it helps us to think about the social and emotional needs of our kids and what we might want to put together in terms of programming or something like that. The last piece is so important. Anytime we come together as a team and we're reviewing something, we want to come back as a team and create opportunities for reflection and revision. So it's really the most efficient process that we can have.
So with that being said, that kind of concludes our presentation. Be happy to take any questions that you have. And again, we appreciate the opportunity to present our work. Thank you.
Are you using this handbook yet?
The plan is to use the handbook going forward.
As
We wanted to have this meeting first.
okay, and when would you plan on using the handbook?
So there are components of it that are legal requirements that we're currently using now because we have to by law. So the handbook is not outside of those legal requirements. It's just creating continuity across the district. So because they're legal requirements, we would like to start as soon as possible.
And on top of that, we're required to do annual training with our DAC teams. So just having this book and going over the procedures each year, the continuity, the confidentiality, the different pieces of the investigation, the timelines, all of those things can just simply check off annual training components. And then we hope down the line to bring in different components of training once we kind of get this up and flying.
And these are things that we've been doing from building to building, but one of our main goals was continuity of, we're all making sure, we have the legal obligation in each building to make sure that the DASA regulations are being followed, but each building following it in a uniform way was our main goal. So we're not doing things in a new way, but we're making sure that there is consistency and equal levels of support throughout the buildings. That was really our main goal of making sure that, we've all been doing these things as required, and in the best interest of our students, but in the best interest of our community, the continuity was our
Right.
main objective.
We've had a DASA policy on the books for many, many years. Every district in the state has had one since 2012. We are on tonight's agenda, we have a first draft where we've updated the policy based on best practices that's been recommended because it hasn't been updated in a while. And so they've pulled together to put the three buildings together to really make a consistent practice because we haven't had a consistent practice across the three buildings. So I think tonight was really just about sharing that consistent practice that you guys put together this summer. So
Yeah, the process was a beautiful opportunity to come together. I feel that when we come together as a team across three buildings, we have a much stronger product, and also the process of going through it really enhances our understanding and helps us to train our staff better.
And there could be times where if something is a combined incident, where there's something, in my previous district, I had incidents that kind of stemmed across buildings. It's important that if DAC teams in a middle school and a high school have to come together and work together, everyone's talking the same language and knowing the same steps. So I think initially I might have been confused about the question, are we doing this? We've always been doing something to make the law work, to make the policy that we have work. Now this is more of the consistent practice coming together so that everyone's kind of talking the same language.
Yes, I know we had a DASA policy. My question was more on that specific new handbook that you're putting together.
Yeah, this is new now going forward.
And my understanding is that that new policy is tailored to the current laws, nothing that may be coming up in the future.
Yeah, right. It's really better for us to use the word practice. This is a new practice we're doing internally
Proceduralizing
to
the
follow,
current,
to support and uphold your policy as a board.
Got it,
Yeah.
thanks.
How many members are on your DAC teams?
So the DAC teams are kind of in development now. We typically would have the building coordinator as the chief chair, and then you would kind of involve other people. So really in a middle school, you know, it would probably, for me, it would probably consume our social worker, both of our counselors, and our assistant principal. You know, there's some discussion on you could include a psychologist. I think we've kind of settled on those positions. Ms. Romeo might be doing something similar in the high school, I believe. And
we have the additional support of our teams who, you know, can help us with the discipline side of it, because many of these things, in addition to evaluations of the DOPS Act, are also code of conduct violations, so they help us investigate and gather information so that we can compile a report. So the DAs are into the letters at the high school, because they're able to assist us, and then we can involve our social worker and our guidance counselors, whatever at the point. But generally, we always try to have at least three staff members on each side.
Thank you.
As you can imagine, K-4 is a little different.
Sure. I would think.
So does DASA focus primarily on student-to-student interactions?
It encompasses all members of the school community. It could be student to student, it could be faculty to student, staff to student, staff to staff. It's really about creating an environment and a school culture that supports an environment where these things can occur.
Are there specific call-outs in the practice for how to handle staff or teacher interactions with students?
It's included, yeah.
And it has to be, these are very delicate, serious conversations. Unfortunately, I've done too many of these in my time as an administrator. You have to work slow. You have to involve, you know, sometimes multiple people sitting down together, working in pairs. Sometimes though, with a staff member, when you're collecting information, you know, you have to go one-on-one and kind of have private, confidential, personal conversations. But again, the procedure is the same no matter what the situation. You're investigating, you're following a consistent practice.
Thank you very much. That was excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. So just a couple of updates. We have had some work done, some of our capital projects that we worked on this summer. We have our science labs worked on. So I just wanted to show some before and after photos. The top line are the mid-construction photos, as you can see, everything being ripped out. And at the bottom, all of these actually are all the ripped out photos, some interesting pictures there. And here are some photos of the most up-to-date looking photo of the rooms. They look very nice. Still some final touches being placed right now. And here's the library where we're sitting right now. This is the construction phase where we were ripping out the carpet. So if you didn't notice, look on the floor. We have brand new carpet. And these were the pictures we took when they first put in the carpet. And back here, you can see, and over there are some beautiful flooring. And Mr. Parmataris did a really nice job. I don't have it in these photos, but we have some pennants up there, college pennants, which look fabulous. And this was before we were able to put all the books back. So he did a great job making sure all the books got put back, even though there's some right here. It's getting done. It's getting done. It's getting done. I know. I know. Linda's got to find more money. We need bookcases. And around the district, we had a great start of the school year. We had a great superintendent's conference day. Every building had to do a scavenger hunt and work in teams to find some great items throughout the building. So they had a great start, some training. The kids came back to wonderful weather and smiles, and they just seemed so happy to be back. And we had a great open house last night at the elementary school. We have a few others coming up. Tomorrow night at the elementary school, we've got K&1. Hopefully, I don't know if the rain's going to hold out. We're supposed to have the Powder Puff game tomorrow night. We've got homecoming this Saturday. 12:30 is the parade and 1:30 is the game. Back to school night at the middle school 5 and 6. We've got back to school night 7 and 8 on Wednesday, college application workshop at the high school Tuesday, and back to school night at the high school on Thursday. And those are upcoming. And that is it for my report.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. All right, moving on with our meeting. Christy, if you would, personnel.
Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves personnel items A through C as listed below.
Thank you, Christy. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Chuck. Any discussion? All in favor? Good. Chuck, 6 action items.
Action items, educational. A, Committee on Special Education. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education has no objections to the following special education recommendations and approves the authorization for the funds to implement the special education programs and services consistent with such.
Thank you, Chuck. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Nick. Any discussion? All in favor? Good, it's unanimous. Joe, if you would, 7 action items, business.
Sure, action items, business. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves action items A through K as listed below.
Thank you, Joe. Can I have a second?
Second?
Thank you, Christy. All in favor? Aye, good. Okay, now I gotta jump ahead. Yes. I'm gonna hand it over to Christine to introduce our new student representative to the board.
So we are so happy to have a new student representative, and I would like to introduce Audrey Hahn, who is joining us this year. Congratulations, Audrey. Audrey, can you share some information for us and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, of course. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. It's such a pleasure to speak with you all today. Like Dr. Krishoni said, my name is Audrey Hahn, and I'm the new Board of Education student representative. I would like to share some new things that's been happening in the start of the school year for the students' perspective. This year has kicked off on a high note with many exciting events and activities at our school. Mr. Pramateris and Ms. Romeo have done an amazing job making the students feel welcome and motivated to succeed for this school year. This year we had our first homecoming dance. It was fantastic way to start off Spirit Week. We had a great music, dancing, a photo booth, delicious snacks. Student Gov worked very hard to decorate and set up for this event. It was truly a night to remember, and we can't wait to do it again next year. We are also eagerly anticipating the homecoming game against Miller Place. There will also be a homecoming parade where everyone in the student body is welcome to attend and march to support our fellow students and to show Mustang pride. Spirit Week has been another highlight, especially with the hallways beautifully decorated in themes from different decades. Participation has been impressive, and it's great to see everyone getting involved. We are also getting ready for our annual Powder Puff event where the juniors and senior girls play each other in football. Hopefully the juniors will win, while the boys do a halftime dance performance. Fall sports have also begun. The football, soccer, tennis, cross country, cheerleading, and volleyball teams have been working hard and playing very well and continue to improve. Over at the middle school, I spoke with Mr. Elsesser, and they've been having a very smooth start to the school year. The school orientations have been a warm welcome for parents and students. A new program called Parent Square has been implemented to help strengthen the communication between teachers and parents. These also started the Mustang Manners program, which is a character education system which encourages students, staff, and teachers to live by certain values of respect and kindness. This has been shared with the students at assemblies as well as during orientations and encourages accountability and good behavior in a fun way. I attended the first student council meeting at the middle school, and there were many students excited to be part of student council. They are also starting their other clubs sometime next week. Over at the elementary school, it has been wonderful welcoming the kindergartners and making them feel comfortable and are having fun. The lobby was redone with new renovations that have been beneficial to students, staff, and parents. The newly painted hallways, TVs, and carpet have been brought in, creating a more comfortable environment for the students. The elementary students are also very excited and are leading out the homecoming parade. They're also looking forward to starting their music lessons and clubs next week. The start of the school year has been great, and we are looking forward to having the same momentum for the rest of the year. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure to have you. We look forward to working with you throughout the year. Well, that's all the stuff I have. Do we have any questions or comments from the audience? Oh.
Explain a little bit about the dean of students and the resident liaison roles. And for the dean of students, why that is being broken up and kind of what their role is.
Yeah, we always have deans of students at the high school. That's just
Like
something
we always have, we need deans at the high school, so we typically, they help with discipline and the high school. And the resident, we need help with translation services, so that's help with that. Thanks.
Have anything else? Anything? Oh.
Sure.
That were moved in the budget approval last year. Can you give an update on kind of where some of those things are in that long process?
Or in May? Absolutely. So we've been working with the architects. We meet with them bi-weekly, actually, and they've been working on sketching out and getting all the information for the doors, for the telephones, and for the athletic fields. We're at the point where they're just about ready to submit all the documentation to the state. We've been on top of it because we really need to get that up to the state quickly. We're very anxious because we want to get the work done as quickly as possible. And as you know, there's a very long wait at the state. Currently, the wait is about 26 weeks to get an engineering review. So that's why we're very anxious to get it up to the state as quickly as humanly possible, because we would love to get it started in the spring, early spring, if we can. So we're looking, hopefully, within the next couple of weeks to get it up to the state. No problem.
Is that it? Good? Nope.
No.
Nope. Nope. I still haven't even eaten dinner yet. All right, well, if that's it, then I'll have a motion to close.
Move to adjourn.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for coming out.